Hi, I'm Angela from empoweredcrystals.com. Today I want to talk to you about how to run an Etsy shop and the top 3 things to prioritise when you first start. The first one is obvious, is photography. Now this can be quite difficult if you haven't got the equipment. Personally, I would recommend getting a light box or using a large powerful lamp above your items when you're photographing. You can go outside and use natural sunlight. That's actually what Etsy recommend. The only thing I find about this is you have to have certain times of day. You're very dependent on the weather, and if it's raining then you just get no work done, and that can happen for days obviously in Britain. And also the thing about it is that if you have a light box, means you can do it whenever you want, even in the middle of the night. I personally photograph every day, so I think it is important, if you're going to be seriously doing a business, to invest in a light box. If it's a hobby, then start off with daylight, see how you get on. You may have difficulty with shadows and things like that. I know I did. And then if you can't get on with outside lighting, I would probably go for the lamp, a strip lamp that you get, the type that you get underneath cupboards in a kitchen. That's pretty good for photography, so I would probably invest in that, and that's quite a low investment, so I would start off with that. I would also use some props. I'm not a great fan of a white background. I like natural backgrounds, so maybe leaves or flowers in the background. It also helps to show the size of the item. I'm also a big fan of photographs in the hand because it shows the size, and it also makes a suggestion that it's handmade. So I would go for that if you don't want to mess around with props and things like that. I would just use your hand and start off like that. Just start off simply. Once you've got your photography sorted, and this may need a little bit of post-editing, I wouldn't recommend too much post-editing because you don't want to alter colours and things like that, but you can brighten up photos a tiny bit. And add a little warmth if you want to. I find yellow lighting on skin is pretty good. So I would keep after editing to a minimum, just so that you don't get complaints about the colour of the item once you send it off. So once you've got that all done and you've edited your photos, you're all ready to make your listings. You need to sort out your SEO. Now that's search engine optimization. In Etsy it's very different to Google. You have to have a title, and it's quite long, the title, and I would suggest using all the characters that it will allow you to fit in. And you also have to use a number of tags. And I would also recommend filling up all those tags so that you get the most opportunity to be seen. Think of each of those tags as an opportunity to be seen in the search. You have to think like a buyer when you're starting to think of titles and tags. So if you're doing art, I wouldn't put up the name of what you've entitled the painting. I would put up a description of what it is. So if you've got a portrait of a woman, she's wearing red in a lovely scene, I would put portrait of woman and landscape photograph, original photography, original painting, that type of thing. Depending on what sort of art it is, photography or painting, obviously you want to make it accurate. And I would repeat to a certain extent in the tags. Personally, I've found if you've got something that's really relevant, I would do as many options. So if you've got original paintings, something like that, I would put painting and artwork, and make sure you can think of all the names to describe it. Obviously I'm in jewellery, so if you've got a labradorite pendant, you'd want to put labradorite pendant, labradorite necklace, silver jewellery, that sort of thing. You've got to remember that certain things have a lot of competition. So when you're thinking about the tags and titles, do go ahead, type them into Etsy and see what competition you've got, because it'll come up with the number of items that are in that area. So if I put in labradorite pendant, it probably comes up with about 30,000 items. So you've got a lot of competition. So you do need to have that in mind. You can have a little look at the competition to see what types of tags and titles they're using. That can help. I mean, don't copy, don't use wording. Everything that somebody else writes is copyrighted to them. So you must avoid that at all costs. But, you know, do go in and see and be inspired by it, and see what sort of titles and tags would suit your items. Once you've got all that sorted and you can list up your item, you've got to list regularly. Now, if you've got 20 items, I would highly recommend that you go in and list up a certain number of items before you open your shop for a start. So I'd probably recommend minimum of 10 items before opening a shop. You don't want to look as though you've only got one item and then nobody's going to look. After that, I would try to add items weekly, preferably daily, but I would go for a minimum of once or twice a week. If you can get to one a day, that'll be great, and it will mean that you slowly increase your items as well in your shop. The number of items on Etsy means that the number of times that you'll possibly be seen in a search, so you want to maximize that as much as you can. So yeah, that's to sum up the top 3 things to do when you open your Etsy shop. Get your photography right, your lighting right, make sure that get other people's opinions on your photography. That's a good idea as well. And once you've got that right, make sure you've got all your tags and titles optimized, and then list regularly. If you found this helpful, please do go ahead and subscribe and like my video, and I hope to see you soon, and thanks for watching.